Iowa poll, Ernst as president? Views divide by party. Does Joni Ernst, the military commander who won an $85 million U.S. Senate battle last fall, have what it takes to one day become commander-in-chief? Yes, according to 58% of Republicans who are likely to vote on the presidential candidates competing in the Iowa caucuses next year. She's not afraid of a fight, said GOP poll respondent Josh Ehlen, a 33-year-old commercial insurance broker who lives in Waukee. But more than a quarter, 26%, of those Republican voters say no, she doesn't, according to a new Des Moines Register / Bloomberg Politics Iowa Poll. In follow-up interviews, some said they voted for her and think she has moxie, but much goes into preparation for being president, and at this early stage, Ernst remains untested. So far, she's underdeveloped, said Republican poll respondent John Sabata, a 42-year-old Cedar Rapids retail worker, and she used some simple phrases repeatedly. Iowa Democrats are more sure Ernst, 44, lacks what it would take to eventually become president. 82% of likely Democratic caucus goers say she doesn't. She's a polarizing figure for Democrats, who think her conservatism will harm Iowa. USA Today. Muslims encouraged by Iowa poll's findings. I'm really surprised she got elected, really surprised, said Democratic poll respondent Emily Aubert, a 34-year-old customer support specialist for a Cedar Rapids company. There was so much negative advertising about her. I can't believe people didn't listen. It's as if nobody paid attention. Aubert said Ernst is way too conservative for her, because of Ernst's opposition to abortion, her friendliness with big corporate donors and her apparent support for the Koch brothers' agenda. She kind of represents everything that makes me want to throw up in the morning, and I'm not even pregnant, Aubert said. On politics. Aerosol spotlights Joni Ernst's camo shoes. Still, a small portion of those likely Democratic caucus goers, 11%, believe she's got the right stuff, the poll shows. The Iowa poll of 402 likely Republican caucus goers and 401 likely Democratic caucus goers was conducted January 26 to 29 by Seltzer & Co. of Des Moines. Ernst in June 2014 won a 5-person GOP primary by pitching herself as a full-spectrum Republican who could appeal to conservatives and more moderate voters. She claimed 92 of the state's 99 counties and 56% of the Republican vote, while being outspent by a wealthy competitor. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst, R. Iowa, speaks during the Freedom. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst, R. Iowa, speaks during the Freedom Summit on January 24 in Des Moines. Ernst in June 2014 won a 5-person GOP primary by pitching herself as a full-spectrum Republican who could appeal to conservatives and more moderate voters. Photo, Brian Howell-Grave, The Des Moines Register. At the start of the general election, Democrat Bruce Braley had $2 million in cash on hand compared with Ernst's $40,000, but she was buoyed by a risky TV ad that played up her ability to cut both hog testicles and budgets. Braley's campaign was deflated by TV ads that played a video clip of him seemingly disparaging popular longtime U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa. Despite polling that showed the race excruciatingly close for months, Ernst won in November by 8.3 percentage points. Ernst, who replaced Democratic U.S. Senator Tom Harkin upon his retirement at age 75, is one of the most high-profile politicians to come out of Iowa in state history. She is Iowa's first female member of Congress, and she's the nation's first female military veteran in the U.S. Senate. So far, she has made a mark for herself by sponsoring legislation to repeal the Affordable Care Act and by blasting President Obama's proposed budget. She voted for the Keystone XL pipeline, and against a wind energy tax credit. USA Today. Joni Ernst gives the GOP response to Obama. Who is she? And she gave the response to the president's State of the Union address just 2 weeks into her term, a signal that GOP leaders see her as an up-and-comer. Ernst attracts such broad media attention that even her shoes, camouflage print pumps, became a topic of national discussion that night. The shoe manufacturer, Aerosols, now advertises the heels with an as seen on the State of the Union tag. Republican poll respondent Tiffany Beatty, 34, of Conroy said Ernst has a certain presence about her, as a compelling speaker and a member of the military with leadership qualities. I think she's a strong woman, said Beatty, an in-home daycare provider and mom. I like the all-around way she carries herself. USA Today. Ernst stands out in camo heels during GOP rebuttal. Poll respondent Susan Geddes, a GOP campaign consultant who works in the Iowa Senate during the legislative session, also sees presidential qualities in Ernst. Geddes watched Ernst in action during Ernst's 3 years as a state senator representing a southwest Iowa district. She's really an analytical thinker. She's not an emotional voter, said Geddes, 51, of Indianola. She looks at all the pieces of information. When she was up here, she loved to talk with other people and hear other points of view. And she has a good understanding of the military, which is something we need in a president. About the poll. The Iowa poll, conducted January 26 to 29 for the Des Moines Register and Bloomberg Politics by Seltzer & Co. of Des Moines, is based on phone interviews with 401 registered Iowa voters who say they definitely or probably will attend the 2016 Democratic caucuses and 402 registered voters who say they definitely or probably will attend the 2016 Republican caucuses. USA Today. Scott Walker leads GOP PAC in Iowa poll. Interviewers contacted 3,813 randomly selected active voters from the Iowa Secretary of State's voter registration list by telephone. Responses were adjusted by age, sex, and congressional district to reflect all active voters in the voter registration list. Questions based on the subsamples of 401 likely Democratic caucus attendees and 402 likely Republican caucus attendees have a maximum margin of error of plus or minus 4.9 percentage points. This means that if the survey were repeated using the same questions and the same methodology, 19 times out of 20, the findings would not vary from the percentages shown here by more than plus or minus 4.9 percentage points. Results based on smaller samples of respondents such as by gender or age have a larger margin of error. Republishing the copyright Iowa poll without credit to the Des Moines Register and Bloomberg Politics is prohibited.